Hello, everybody. This is your old pal, Uncle Hondo, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on Sports Illustrated and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. It's great to be with you today. Big stuff coming out of Henderson, obviously, where the Las Vegas Raiders have announced some decisions on their offensive coaching staff. We hinted at one of these specifically because we were kind of given a little insight that it may be coming. First of all, Scott Turner has been named the interim offensive coordinator. Norv Turner is named the interim senior advisor. And Joe Philbin, which is obviously the position we had hinted at before, is now going to take over as the interim offensive line coach. I'm good with all three of these moves. I think all three of them are very good moves. I think a lot of them show us a lot about AP. You may remember me telling you before that adversity does not define you, it refines you. What I mean by that is it doesn't matter what the color of your skin are, doesn't matter how much or how little money you have, doesn't matter if you're a religious person, non-religious person, Republican, Democrat, independent, or apolitical. Every single person goes through tough times, goes through adversity. So how you handle that really refines you as a person. And I think what you're seeing here with Antonio Pierce is he moves away from Luke Getsy, Coach Craig, and Rick, of course, the quarterback coach, moves away from those guys, brings in a Scott Turner who already has experience. He's always already on staff. Joe Philbin is considered a legend in the NFL for his offensive knowledge and, of course, the respect that Norv Turner brings. I think it just brings a sense of continuity. I think it brings just a sense of, hey, we're not panicking. And when I say we're, I'm using the voice of the team to the players, not mine, but we're not panicking. There's a lot of talent here, and we're going to get the most out of it. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, regardless of what happens after the season, Joe Philbin working with this offensive staff, especially the young ones, is an automatic big thumbs up. I thought he should have had an even bigger role all along. If you remember an article I wrote last Friday, there were NFL people asking, "Where is Joe Philbin?" I mean, this offense didn't look like anything to do with Joe Philbin in the least bit. I love that. I love bringing in Norv Turner. Now, there are some people that would claim Norv Turner to be not an aggressive enough offensive coordinator. I disagree. I think you can go back and look over his resume and see at times that he wasn't, but he didn't have any weapons. But when he's had them, he had a proven track record of a balanced attack. He knew when to run, when to throw. He knew to do things when he wanted, not when the other teams. And so certainly he's going to have a big voice for his son Scott. And Scott's got a big voice as well. He's incredibly respected. I have no issues with any of these moves, and I think that they're ones that are going to make the Raiders better. Now, let's be honest. How much better can this team get? They're sitting here 2-7. There's 8 games left. Do you expect them to run the table? I don't. I don't expect them to get in 10 to 10-7, but I do expect the offense to be more productive. I do expect them to be more. I'm trying to think of the right word. I do expect them to absolutely. Um, I do expect them to absolutely be improved. And I think that's right now with where the Raiders are sitting, what they have to do. I think right now with what the Raiders are going through, that they need to show improvement. Hey, they can fix the rest, but there has to be some sign of life that says, look, at the team now is on a trajectory upward. Now, a lot of people are going to make this argument. No, 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 no. You want the number one pick. Okay, right now the Raiders are tied for the worst record in the NFL, but they're tied with multiple other teams. I was told yesterday, or maybe it was early today. I'm sorry, I haven't been gotten much sleep. That the Raiders are, if the draft were today, would pick sixth. All right, they'd pick sixth. So if you look at last year, there were 4 quarterbacks taken early. I don't believe there were 4 franchise guys, but there were, um, you know, guys that had first round grades or were ended up being picked in the first round. I don't think, no, we'll just leave it there. So at 6, you don't know what you're going to get anyways. And so I think you just keep working, just keep, fighting, scratching, clawing, let the rest take care of itself. But I think you go into every game, you want to win, you want to compete. And I'm gonna go back and tell you this. You may remember Lovie Smith. He was coaching at Houston and got a very raw deal, by the way. Very raw deal. Now it worked out for Houston, but they still, in my opinion, got a raw deal. And he was fighting to win a game where if they would have lost, I think the Texans would have got the number 1 pick. He knew he was getting fired, but he still tried to win. And oh, by the way, they ended up not taking Bryce Young. They got CJ Stroud. No brainer. I think if you do the right things, you expect the right things to happen. And the right things are you go into every game competing to win. If you go in and do your best and you lose, great, you get better pick position. That's the reward for doing your job. But I've seen it work out too many times that you know what, you keep winning games and you get into a situation like Houston where sometimes you're almost thank God for unanswered prayers. But let's talk a little bit about this offense. Let's talk a little bit about Joe Philbin. Joe is one of the most universally respected offensive minds in the National Football League. Him getting his mitts on this young offensive line. Now, let's face it, I certainly don't think he's old, but Colton Miller isn't a young player. Andre James, he's a wily veteran. Again, not old at all. Cody Whitehair, I think you could say, he's kind of in that Colton Miller ideal a little bit. Those are your 3 guys that you would call older. Now, they're going to benefit from Joe Philbin. I don't know Cody as good as I know Andre, who I know really well, and Colton, who I know really well, who are 2 guys that are very coachable. They're going to benefit immediately. Those are 2 guys that are going to be like, can we have more, please? But you look at Delmar DJ Glaze, the mule, Jackson Powers Johnson, that guy, Jordan Meredith, that guy's playing out of his mind. Dylan Parham, Thayer Mumford. I mean, you start accumulating all these young guys with a Joe Philbin pouring out wisdom. I can tell you right now, I will be stunned unless it's because of injury. I will be stunned if you don't see uh uh yeah, if you don't see a better offensive line, I will be stunned. Does that mean they're gonna uh go out and finish 8-0 in the last 8 games? No, that's not what I'm saying. Not at all. But I'll be stunned if they're not better. Let's talk about some other improvements. I think you're going to see other improvements in the running game. I One of the things that Norv Turner does super well is he makes the obvious obvious. He doesn't try to outthink himself. He's not trying to overdo it. He's not trying to define something that doesn't need definition. And I believe that rubs off on his son, Scott. And anytime you have a father that's highly successful, and by the way, a very good dad, tremendous dad. That stuff rubs off on your kids. Now, Scott's reputation is he's a simplifier. And I will tell you this, the very best coaches, other than Mike Martz, and he is a very good coach. He is not a simplifier, but almost every other good coach that I know of simplifies things. Belichick simplifies things. Don Shula simplified things. Joe Gibbs simplified things. Sean McVay simplifies things. Mike Tomlin simplify things. Just because it's football, let Elon Musk stick to the rocket science. You just need to make sure that you simplify it. Make the game a game. Just make the game a game. Let guys go out and play the game. If you make it where they think too much, Jim Tressel said this to me one time, the legendary Ohio State coach. He said, sometimes we make the game into like it's a physics class. And yeah, you come to college to learn physics, but you don't come to play football to learn physics. Keep it a game. Yeah, you teach people how to read stuff, but keep it a game. I expect Scott Turner to do that. And when you've got a Joe Philbin taking his hands, masterfully creating, sculpting that offensive line, that's mammoth. When you have a Norv Turner dropping nuggets, being able to go back into the vault of, hey, this is what we did with Dallas. Here's what we did with Washington. Here's what we did here or there. You know what? He's got some rough times on his resume. I'm not going to argue that. But what do you remember? Adversity doesn't define you, it refines you. So I think these are great moves. I think it speaks very highly of AP. Again, he made some tough decisions. When you have to fire somebody, you know that means you have to say you failed too. I'll never forget one time my dad had to fire somebody and the person had not really been a good employee. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. I said, Dad, what are you upset about? The person didn't do a good job. He said, I'm not even thinking about the person. I failed. I hired them. I didn't see that they were going to fail. And when you have to fire someone, I've been an employer and had to fire people. If you're good at what you do, that bothers you because it means you failed. Means you failed. So overall, I think this was a great move by the Raiders today. I think it sets them up for success, and it was a very good thing. We're going to see you tomorrow, and I'll have, of course, Zeke Trezevant with me, and got something very special for you tomorrow. Don't forget our deep dive article on Davante Adams drops tomorrow at noon. Well, depending on when you're watching it, Thursday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. Thanks for watching, everybody. God bless you. Have a great day.